Apparently with Snowflake, so this Partner Connect service, sorry I have this weird, let's log in through here. So this Partner Connect service, right, it's like an easy, it's supposed to be, right, an easy way to kind of like have Snowflake connect to other services in general. So we saw how to use it with DBT, ideally, where you go to admin and then Partner Connect, and you search for DBT. And when you click on it, right, it will basically create a DBT account with the Snowflake credentials like loaded in there. So I already have this, but you can see it. It like creates this account for you. Would have created this account for me. What Michael showed me is that apparently, instead of manually entering our Fivetran credentials and like connecting Fivetran to Snowflake by manually entering our Snowflake credentials, apparently we can also, there's a Partner Connect for Fivetran. So this won't take care of connecting to the RDS instance. It won't take care of the destination for you, but it will take care of the source for you, but it will take care of the destination, right? So it's like you can do this, and then this will set everything up, meaning, you know, create the Fivetran user and the Fivetran compute for then Fivetran to access your Snowflake database, and click connect through here, and probably will create a new Fivetran account, and this will take care of at least connecting Snowflake, and you'll still have to fill in the information for RDS. All right, so maybe that will help some of you if you're still having an issue with this. I wanted to give a little tour of DBT, if I'm capable. So as I kind of said, you know, you can see, sometimes it's just good to look at these account settings, see where things are actually connected. So, right, I'm clicking on this little gear icon, and then profile settings, and then credentials, and then from here, this is like my account. And you can see that this should line up to my Snowflake, let's do this one, my Snowflake information. Down here, I can see, I guess this is what I'm logged into, and this is this UDB, is that what log connects? I guess not. It might be a different one. I don't know. Hold on, let's see. I just have so many accounts. This is it, Z0. You see this one? Z050478 is what links to this. All right? And then this is the role that I'm used as, is the database. Why do I tell you this stuff? Because if something breaks on the DBT end, what you can do is you can use these same setup. Like you can be like, all right, well, let's go to that account in Snowflake. Let's change to this role and make sure that this role has permissions to perform the query, right, that DBT is trying to do. Because lots of times what you'll run into is a permission error. So you can just, you know, go to Snowflake and like create, you know, go to a worksheet or whatever, and then just make sure you are the right role. So as my DBT role with this warehouse, let's try to execute the query. If I can execute the query from here and it works, I should then be able to move over to DBT and execute the same query. So let's go to that. By the way, you can change these credentials. You just click this edit button, and then, you know, you can save it from there. All right, next thing, let's click on develop. And I'm looking to make sure like that this is still the right account. It is. So a lot of the SQL files and like queries that you write will be in this models folder. As long as you have, as long as you're inside this folder, you're okay. You can have subfolders. That works fine too. When you first, it's a little hard for me to show you. Let me see, because I've already like have an initial code base. But what you have to think about is when you first click on develop, you have to I think it's called like initialize repository. So you click this button, it will create a repository for you. And then the next thing you need to do, think about what commit and sync means. What does sync probably mean, right? It's pushing up to GitHub. That's what it's doing. It's trying to create like a user-friendly name for it. But this is making a git commit and then pushing, maybe it even says it if I highlight, and then pushing up to GitHub, right? So you can kind of just, as you're moving through this part of the interface, you should think through what's happening on GitHub, right? So merging this branch to main, right? We all know what that does, okay? So this is, ideally we're following the correct flow, whereas, first it creates an initial code base on main, and then the next thing you'll need to do is create a new branch, and it will give you the button to do that. And then once you create the new branch, then you can, run your code, make some sort of modifications, and if that looks good, if that's something you ultimately want to do, move that over to merge that with the main branch, right? Merge that into the main code base. That's our general GitHub workflow. Maybe I should just review that real fast. Right, so just remember, right, with GitHub, that basically, we have the main branch, and then you'll have a feature branch. And this is where all the code, any changes you have occur, is on the feature branch. So DBT is forcing you, if you want to make any changes, to do that on a feature branch. So check out the feature branch. Then you can push the feature branch up to the cloud, like up to GitHub, which DBT is connected to. And then finally, you can also merge that feature branch onto the main branch, right? That way you get that new commit. So that's basically what it's asking, what it's indicating for you, is to say, hey, merge this branch to main. My sense is DBT, every time you merge it, will not just merge it locally, it's just automatically pushing that change up to GitHub, right? If you make some sort of changes, merge it to main, it will push that to GitHub. But we can move through that. I just want you all to try to think through what's going on underneath when you see these buttons here. Okay.
So is DBT like a program, or is it a language? What is I get what it does, but like, what is it?
Yes, people call it a platform. I might have to look up what term they use, but it is a platform. I think the way to think of what it solves, DBT's goal is to bring it is a really nice question. Right, the whole point, whenever we're asked these questions, like what does it do, the best way to attack them is to think about, like, okay, what did the world look like before DBT? And what the world looked like is, you had an analytics database, and then you had all these different data analysts, data engineers, data scientists, all querying the analytics database. And each of them individually would write, their ad hoc SQL scripts locally, and lots of times they would just live on their own individual computers and people were not sharing them. So basically what DBT proposed is, hey, let's bring all the best practices of coding, that these analytics people or whatever, just one person teams, anything, they're not using best practices in coding that we as engineers know how to use. So what does that mean? Right, like one, they're not using like GitHub, right, or Git probably in general. Two, they're not using a common repository. Three, no tests. Like just probably not like organized files. And so what happens is a lot of the work, what organizations found is like a lot of the work is being repeated and siloed among data professionals. And everyone's writing the same transformations to try to squeeze the same data or information out of their database, but they're not sharing their work. And they're not really, so everyone's repeating stuff, and they're not testing the data, et cetera, et cetera. So what DBT, like in a phrase of what DBT does is encourages best practices in coding among engineers to bring best practices in engineers to querying and transforming data. Okay, that's really like the philosophy, I think. Among that, there's
it's like a repo plus testing for SQL.
Well, yeah, testing for SQL, but that I would say is the same, right? Like these are best practices. Just think about like what you do as an engineer that makes code good and reliable, right? That if you're just someone who knows some SQL, maybe you're like a 1 or 2 person team, you just were never trained in this, and you probably didn't really feel the pain of it too much because you're not working with a 30-person team. That's the idea. Right? That's also why they're like as we'll see, like documentation, right? It really encourages that kind of stuff too, right? And that way you're having like common. It's what people call like a data dictionary. Like, the problem with this is everyone has separate transformations. Then there's a separate here's what like our qualified user is. Here's what our target user is. Might have a different definition across each of these individuals, right? So the idea is also like conceptually to keep this information consistent. So it ends up paying off. But yeah, this is what I think of like what DBT is designed to solve. Bring the best practices of engineering that already exists in engineering to basically like data analytics, to working with your analytics database. Other questions before I keep going?
If we set the wrong repository, can we change that?
Okay, hopefully. I find this stuff finicky, like, I don't know. But if you can do it, here's where you would go. Go to this little gear thing, and then profile settings. And so it's back to basically the same spot. Partner connect, and then it would be somewhere. So here's Snowflake. It would be somewhere around here. Maybe someone knows. Edit. Kumar says click on edit. Let's try that. Yeah, but where's the GitHub repository? Oh, hold on. I'd have to manually edit it. But how do I actually view it, Kumar? You can unmute if you want. I might have to just look that up later. But here you can see linked account to Jeff Katz. Maybe this, maybe something like this. Not sure, or maybe, and this is my edit my password. But one of these, I'll look at it offline, Sonia. All right, let's take a look a little bit more just at DBT. Okay. So there's a couple things that I think are like gotchas, I guess, with DBT. One is, so first of all, just remember, like, if you can perform this as your DBT role in Snowflake, right? Like, this is a way to debug, right? Is to be like, oh shoot, this isn't working DBT. Can I go to Snowflake, be the DBT role, and perform the query? If you can do that here, you should be able to paste in the raw SQL and run this as well. One thing you'll have to do to actually run it, one thing you should remember to do, is to save the file. It does not, as far as I know, or at least previously, it did not auto-save for you, okay? So here I see the little blue dot. I'm saving it. Now it looks good. I'm going to click on Preview. Preview will just simply run the query. It will not create a new schema for you and actually like create a new view, okay? One other thing, okay, and then here's the result. If I want to say like, okay, this, ideally I have some sort of transformation, like let's say, I forget how to slice in SQL, but like, okay, let's just uppercase this stuff. Let's do Snowflake, uppercase. Upper, okay. Just say like, hey, we want to like upper each one of these things. So we're gonna upper my CC class. Select CC call center, comma, CC class from Snowflake. And then I'll upper this. And first thing I'll do is do the preview. Right, and now this is upper class, and I could say like as CC class if I want to override it, preview it. Now the next thing I'll do is basically build it. I didn't know that this is interesting. This is a new feature. Normally what I'll do is use the command line. So you can just run dbt build, or you can do -- models. You can specify, I just want to create a view for this table by doing dbt build, -- models, and then dim customers, and that's it. Sorry, I'm typing it wrong. So dbt is going to look at the name of the file. These things have to line up. Okay, the name of the model and the name of the file. The name of the view, as we'll see, it's going to create a view for me, and the name of that view is going to match, it failed. The name of the view is going to match the name of that file. This is maybe going to break because probably have database access to, let's see what it does. Okay, so for me to debug this, what I'll do is I like to click on details, right? And it's going to show me, oh, perfect. And it's going to show me an error. Here I'm able to see the error in the summary. Look at this, syntax error, line 4, position 119. 119 is probably like the column, like the character in the string, and line 4. This, by the way, and it's talking about the semicolon. This, by the way, is oftentimes not like the raw code that you're writing, but rather if you look at compile, it's oftentimes lines up more with the compiled code. So dbt will first take your code and then potentially compile it. Let me show you an example. It actually does that for us. It does not want you to have a semicolon at the end. So let's remove the semicolon, and then let's see if when I compile it, my guess is the semicolon will still be there. And it's not. Oh well. And I thought it might be. All right, well, let's try this again. So I'm going to do dbt build, and then -- models, and then dim customers, and then press return. Okay, and this worked. So again, like I like to look at the logs here. So what this does is it says successful, great. Tells me where it created the view model, right? This dbt underscore, this is the schema name, dimension customers. If I want to see more details about this, let's see, I'll click on details. I'm oftentimes clicking on details to see what's going on. And you can see this is the actual SQL that is running. Create or replace a new view in PCDBT dbt underscore dimension customers. Okay, and then I'll probably go there to confirm, like just to see what this thing actually looks like. Meaning I'll go to Snowflake, PCDBT DB, public, is it under public? No, it's under, sorry about that. It was PCDBT DBT underscore dimension customers.
Refresh.
Yeah, good idea. Thank you. How do I do that?
The dots, like triple dots, I can see that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, maybe it might be that I'm in the wrong. It could be that I'm linked in the wrong account. I wonder if it's something like that. No, I don't see it. I'm sorry, gang. We're running out of time. It could be that I'm just linked to the wrong account because I have so many free silly accounts.
You don't have to run. I think you have to run, make it over there.
No, it created it, right? You can see it in the log. If you look in the log, it created the view, right? In PC DBT, this thing. So this does exist. I'm just not sure on which one of my accounts it exists, but it's there, guys. All right. But what are like the main things, hopefully, that you can remember from this is, some gotchas. So 1 is the semicolon, right? 2 is save the file. Everyone's going to forget that. 3 is to actually, like the workflow, lots of times, is going to be to first preview the code, preview the results, and then it's going to create, once you do the DBT build, right, it will create a new view where the view is the result of the select statement. Okay, so it wraps the view, and the view that you're building is you're filling it with the data from the select statement. All right, and then finally, this is what I'm always doing, is clicking on details. Like you can click through all the various runs you've performed, and that's by, you can do this down thing, you can go up to view the previous runs, and then I'll click on this down arrow and then click on details and scroll down until I basically see that SQL call. Okay? All right, we're out of time.